Hello and welcome to the shed. In today's video I want to show you how to make a nice saw protector to protect your saw teeth on any of your hand saws. So if you're storing them in a drawer, in a toolbox, jumped in with a bunch of other tools, you can keep it safe so you don't damage the edge. We can see the basic design here, and it's a very simple design, and so I just really want to jump in and we'll just build it because it's pretty straightforward. So today I'm going to be building one for this gent saw that I've had for a while. It floats around my workshop and I have had it get a little blunted and pushed up against some of my hand tools and stuff that are sitting on the side here. So I thought it was about time that I made a nice little protective guard for it. Now, you could obviously make one big long guard that you could use for all your different hand saws, but it makes more sense that we customize one for each hand saw. What you want to do is make this about 20, maybe 25 millimeters longer than your saw plate, and I'll show you why that's going to happen in a minute. But it's going to make sure that this saw plate doesn't slide out of this when it's done up. So we want to cut this off here. So we're going to quickly square this off, and you can see the top of this is rough cut, so we'll hand plane that in a minute as well, because attention to detail is everything, even on a small project like this. So I'll wrap that around, jump over here to the bench hook and give this a good cutting. So if we've cut that off square enough, there's no need to even shoot that if you don't want to. So let's quickly grab a hand plane and we'll flatten the top of this because it's going to look nicer with that squared. So now what we want to do is saw our kerf as much in the center of this as possible. And let me just give you a quick measurement. The size of this is rather arbitrary. This is a little bit bigger than the other one I've got there, but this comes down about 23 mil and it's 19 mil wide. So 23 mil. My old one is at 20 mil, so there's not much difference in it. You just want a nice size so you can come down into it and cut a kerf, maybe halfway down into it, or 3/4 of the way, 2/3, something like that, just so you can get a little bit of depth for that kerf to sit in it. So we're going to use the saw that we're going to be storing in it. You could make it slightly larger if you need to, but theoretically, if we cut it with the saw, with the set we've got on it, it should fit back into that same kerf. You can be a little more accurate with this if you want, but I'm just going to eyeball center, and we're just going to use a finger gauge just to run a line down the center as so. Now, when we're sawing in here, the idea is that I want it to stop about 10 mil from here. So I'm just going to put my finger here and mark a line. What I'm going to do is attempt to not saw into this section just here. We're going to leave that closed, so when we get the saw, we can slide it in and it butts up against that end. So we're going to start at this edge here, and I'm going to just nibble. So I'm keeping my finger here just behind it, just to support it, and I'm nibbling along that line. You can see I've established this kerf along, and I'm just going to keep sawing in it like that until it gets down to that depth that I want. So I'm going to be sitting it flat and just running it back and forwards inside that kerf, and I'll keep buttoning it up against the flat part. It might not saw it 100% right at that end, so you can overshoot that end stop a little bit if you need to, or the other option is that you can actually saw this a little bit longer and then cut it afterwards. So you'll work out where it stops, and you could do it that way. So they're the two ways. I prefer doing it this way, and it takes a little more skill, I think, doing it this way, and so it's improving your techniques where you might need to saw something like this in a future project. So in order to make this process easier, just a little bit of a T-candle, rub that on here, or you can use the a rag and a can oiler for this. I find the wax works a little better for this, and it's just going to allow it to slide in this kerf easier. So we just go to town, sawing down to our depth. So I like to saw down on my depth this end first, and then just sort of work the rest of it, because it will get a little bit stuck. That's the whole problem here. So you can see I'm really getting the toe of the saw in there, and you can also sort of drag the toe here to get it on that stop. Normally this is not a conventional sawing technique, as you would know, but this sort of little pulling technique allows you to get into that material that you can't actually get to normally. So that looks like it's going to hold it pretty good. I think it still needs to go down slightly more though. So it's just toe, put a little bit of weight on it and just drag it. Now you might think that we're done with that, now it's like that, but no, we're going to do what I've done on this one. Add this little string to it. So we're going to drill a hole in the center, and that string is just going to make sure that it doesn't want to slide up out of it when it's in your toolbox if it flops over or something like that. I'm just going to roughly eyeball halfway here, and I think I'm going to put it right there. So the size of your hole depends on what cordage you're going to be using. I'm going to be using this fairly thick paracord for it. It's just cordage that I've got on hand, so I'm going to be using that. And I'm going to be using maybe 300mm length of it. Enough that I can do a nice knot around on the top of the saw, and also put a couple of knots down the bottom to stop it sliding out of the hole. Now you can go ahead and melt the end of that to stop it fraying, which I recommend you do. Now what we're going to do is just tie a little overhand knot in here like this. Pull that up. We're going to do one on the other side. Now we've got a double knot there, so let's go ahead, put our saw in. And I like to put the knot just on the side here. So now that's in there. So the idea is you can slide it out, and that's why it's open on that end, and you can come to put it back away, and you can just slide it straight back in like that, and it's nice, safe, secure, and you're not going to damage, you're less likely to bend it and all of that when it's in the bottom of a toolbox. So the main reason I like these to have a flat bottom is we can put it down and it can store like that. The longer one, this one's a little more tippy because it's got a little bit older and the kerf wasn't actually designed particularly for this saw. But you can see that when they sit here, you can actually get them to store straight like that. And so you got the advantage of them not falling over, they kind of stay upright. And for me, on my workbench just over here, I just slide them in the side next to them, which I'll just quickly show you now. Look over here, I just slide them in the side here. And you can see it stays upright. And so I can just saw them there when I'm ready to grab them, pick them straight up. So there you have it, folks. That's the quick and easy protector for your handsaw teeth and just your handsaw in general. It just protects it, and then you can go ahead and store it with some dowels and stuff maybe to stop it falling over, but at least you know the teeth are protected, and it's going to stay more upright with this sort of design in your toolbox if you're storing it in the bottom of your toolbox or storing it on a desk or bench like I am. It's just a good peace of mind to protect that saw that you've spent money on. So, if you like this video, please do like and subscribe down below. While you're down there, do sound off in the comments. Have you seen this sort of sawtooth protector? I'm sure you have. It's not new design or anything like that. It's just very basic. But if you've had something similar to this, or maybe you use something else, do leave that in the comments below. And if you'd like to see another great video, such as the one you've seen here today, do check out the playlist up here that actually has all the build videos that I've done on the channel since I began. Bye for now.